And joining us right now, the Rutherford Orthopedics guest line on this happy HUGHSDAY morning, Hugh Douglas III. What's up there, Hugh?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, just as a complete aside, because I started talking about this a little earlier, you know the phrase adulting? You know, like, oh, I'm adulting today. You know that phrase?
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, I hate doing it. Yeah,
I hate to.
Yeah.
See, I love the phrase too. I love the phrase "hate the act" because it's like it implies that I'm not an adult. It's just that I'm playing the role of an adult because I look like one, sort of, and I'm playing that role, and then I'm just going to go back to being a kid again soon. So that's why I like that term. But I caught myself doing something today that was the most adult thing ever. I called the dump.
Uh-huh.
So I'm doing some demo in the house, and I called the dump to find out if I had to pay to dump building materials, which you do. I was just kind of wondering how much it was, and no one could give me a straight answer.
Yeah.
But I had to call the dump today, and as I'm on hold at the dump, I'm thinking to myself, this is by far the most adult thing I have ever done. Like raising kids, you're a dad, it's great, but like the most adulting thing I've ever done is definitely calling the dump.
Well, you know what? I have to disagree with that, Mark. You know the most adult thing that you've done and been doing for a long time?
What's that?
Paying damn bills. Now, that's the most adult thing that you do is pay bills. Like, that's one thing that I remember. But the good thing about it, I don't know how it was with your parents. My parents used to complain every month about paying bills and about how much, something is expensive. The light bill is expensive. Who has all the lights on? Why is the electric bill so high? The gas bill. We don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Because we understand in order to be, to be comfortable, you're going to have to spend some money somewhere. So you just spend it a little bit probably differently than your parents did. But that's the most adult thing that we've been doing since we've been considered adults.
Since we've started our adulting. Yes.
Yeah.
So, hold on real quick. On that note, because this has come up recently in a circle of friends in our conversation, Hugh Douglas II, was he like Joe Farzetta when it came to the thermostat? Because my dad was like, don't touch the thermostat. Never touch the thermostat. Do you remember?
Yes. Why is it so cold in here? Why? I told you keep the thermostat on 65 or whatever, 70 something.
Right.
Don't keep it above that. See, me, it's different. I run the fan and I always keep it cold. So if you come into my home, even when it's cold, I like it cold. And so I tell anybody that comes to visit, like, hey, it's a little cool in here. It's going to be a little cool.
You and I both run hot. I will say that. You and I both run hot.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
I'm glad to know that our fathers definitely shared that trait. I think a lot of fathers share that trait. I know I'm going to share that trait.
Because that correlates. When you touch that thermostat, that's more money spent to keep the house warm. You know what I mean? So you keep it at a nominal temperature where, ain't nobody freezing to death, but you're comfortable. You know what I mean? It's better than being outside. That's basically what it was.
I hear that. All right, we're on the same page as far as that goes, my man. Do you you mentioned Bills, so yeah. But let me ask you this: I want to transition to football and Dallas Goeddert and that hit we were talking about before I hit record on here. You saw the hit. Dallas Goeddert going across the middle, comes down with it, becomes a runner, gets tackled from behind a little bit, and then Simmons comes in over the top and wallops his helmet. And Dallas Goeddert is now in concussion protocol, as we know. Nick Sirianni said it yesterday in his press conference. So when you see that hit, does illegal jump out to you? What jumps out to you about that hit?
Being a former defender, that was a little excessive. Like, that was unnecessary because he was already going down. You got to learn when to pull up, man, because we're trying to keep everybody safe. We're playing a game where, a lot of guys, they're having issues after their playing days and things of that nature. I just feel like you could have been a little bit smarter in that play. I understand it's a heated game. Don't know the scenario in which that play happened, were they already behind or whatever, if you're feeling some kind of way, but he's still your brother, even though he's wearing a different jersey. I always talk about, hey, if you ain't on my team, it don't matter, whatever, but you're still in a fraternity of brotherhood. You got to take care of one another, man. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. Is like that probably was a little bit too much. You could have accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, and it looked like you did accomplish what you wanted to accomplish without putting that hit on it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly there. when it comes to the taunting rule in the NFL, it seems like every year there's something that happens when we're talking about the taunting rule. For a man who played the way he played in his day, what is a taunting penalty? What to you would make you as an official go, oh, now that's taunting? What would that be?
You know what? That's kind of hard to say. I think that, if you go over the line, if you be a little bit excessive, real excessive, then I feel like, running around the field, doing the Hulk Hogan 55 times or something like that, that's being excessive. If it becomes an issue where it's impeding the playing process and stuff like that, that's when it becomes an issue. But if you make a big play and your teammates celebrate with you within that a few seconds of that big play happening, that's not taunting to me. That's celebration of a big play, sacking the quarterback, kicking the door in, like I think the Eagles did when they came to town here in Atlanta, when they sacked Matt Ryan. That, to me, I thought that was one of the coolest celebrations that I've ever seen, because that was a group celebration. So I don't have a problem with that. But I think, who was it got in trouble a few weeks ago? We did a karate kick. I think it was it a linebacker?
Yeah, the Bears.
Huh?
Yeah, the guy for the Bears.
The Bears. Yeah, that's right. It was the Bears. I'm sorry. He did it like a karate kick, and they said taunting. Really? I thought that was the coolest thing. I thought that was one of the coolest celebrations ever. But, the refs are trying to clamp down on that, and they're just calling ridiculous stuff.
I think the reason they called it was Massey, I want to say was his last name. He went over, Cassius Massey or Marsh or something like that. He started walking over to the other team, to the sideline, as they were walking out onto the field, because it was a third down play and they're about to punt. And that's when I believe Tony Correnti was the official, and he threw the flag and also gave him a hip check. Yeah,
I did see the hip check. I thought that was a little bit too much.
Right.
And looked like the ref was already going for the flag when he gave him the little hip check or whatever. So it's one of those things, man, where, I know they're trying to police the game as best they possibly can, but I remember growing up, some of the celebrations, they used to sell that in a VHS. Remember the football follies or whatever?
Yeah.
Some of the coolest celebrations. I remember back in the day where the NFL used to celebrate the hits.
Oh, yeah. The NFL's greatest hits. There was a VHS. I remember my first time at the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they got away from that, and they're trying to police the game. And, the thing about it is this, Mark. The game is still growing. The game is growing. The NFL is making money. They've allowed legal betting now. So now all of the things that they used to do to make the game so-called great or make it exciting, they don't have to rely on that as much as they used to. So they could police the so-called taunting more and things of that nature, because people are bet. Like, you go to when I went to Philadelphia, it was at the Link. They have a betting site right there at the stadium now. So it's different now. It's totally different.
Totally different. 17 game schedule. So look no further. Another playoff game added. Monday Night Football being added to it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Jalen Hurts. And while you've been in Atlanta, you've had Matt Ryan, the entire time. But when you watch other quarterbacks, and when you were a player as well, watching Donovan come along, now the questions come up with Jalen Hurts. It was just said on national TV by ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, a man who I know pretty well and very much respect. He came out and said that Jalen Hurts is establishing himself as the franchise quarterback in Philadelphia. He is starting to establish himself as the franchise quarterback in Philadelphia. I'm looking at it and I'm saying he's definitely taking steps in the right direction. That I agree with. I am more sure about him possibly being the guy than I am him definitely not being the guy. I think this year he's only helped his cause in doing that, especially as Nick Sirianni has figured out his offense. But when you look at a quarterback and you watch a guy mature, like you watch Donovan McNabb mature into a franchise quarterback, and I know they were drafted totally different. One was to be a backup. The other was to be the franchise guy in Donovan. What do you look for in a young quarterback as they mature into that bigger role?
I would say probably leadership. And I think that's one of the biggest things, leading the team, winning tough games, handling yourself accordingly throughout adversity. And I think Jalen Hurts has done all those things. The irony of the NFL is you look at him beating the Denver Broncos, the team that beat the Dallas Cowboys a week before. He goes in there and he handles business. That's what it's all about, Mark. But I tell you what, it's hard, like this day and age, when it comes to that position in particular, it is hard to figure out what intangibles coaches like when it comes to that position. Because, it's funny. I looked at the box score. He threw for like 168 yards, 2 TDs.
Yeah, it wasn't huge. Yeah.
It wasn't huge. And in this day and age, it just all depends on what the coach wants. Now, is he a good enough player to win you football games? Yes. Yes, he is. But compared to what? Compared to maybe what Aaron Rodgers does
right
on a week-to-week basis, compared to what Dak Prescott has done this year. The worst game Dak Prescott had with QBR rating was the one that he played against Denver. And did you know the game that he had yesterday where he basically lit the Atlanta Falcons up, lit them up like a Christmas tree in the first half, lit them up like a Christmas tree. So it just all depends. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the tough thing about it, because you have, like, Jalen Hurts is growing into his position. And you have to ask yourself, is Coach Sirianni going to give him that opportunity to grow into the position? Or is it going to be one of those situations where, you still got 3 first-round draft picks? And the last time that I checked, those rumors about Deshaun Watson, they haven't gone away. Like, there was Miami was supposed to be hot and heavy on it.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, those went away. I think a lot of teams are waiting to pull the trigger because they want to actually see what happens with the court side of everything. Yeah. But if you got to ask yourself, as well as Jalen Hurts is playing, if you have an opportunity to get a Deshaun Watson, do you take that chance? Do you take that chance? I mean, and that's the tough part about playing quarterback in the NFL nowadays. Mm-hmm. Is will teams wait on you to become that person? And I think part of it is, another reason is, Jalen Hurts has been able, he's kind of been forced to be that person out of necessity of the position. You know what I mean? You got rid of Joe Flacco. You have what's the Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew,
yeah. And things of that nature. So I think he's been forced, but I think as an NFL team, you're always looking to upgrade that. You're always looking to upgrade your team. So I don't know what they're thinking about him personally. Only thing I can go on is some of the stuff that I hear and read in the papers and everything. And it seems like he's trending in that direction, but you just never know. You really don't.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think the best way to describe it is he hasn't done anything this year to lose that job. I know that.
Yeah, but think about the quarterback that we've seen before. When they talk about, hey, well, he hasn't actually lit it up, but he hasn't done anything to make you say he's special either.
Right.
I'm not saying that about Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying in general.
In general, gotcha.
So, got to be clear.
You saw the 2 touchdown throws that he had this past weekend. One was the jump ball to Devontae Smith. The other was the dart to the middle of the end zone to Devontae Smith, as he looked like he was running a little bit of a deep slant. What did you see in those 2 throws from that? From Jalen Hurts making them?
You know what? The first thing that jumped out to me, you can tell he's comfortable with Devontae Smith. No question about that. Obviously, they went to school together, and I think that goes a long way. It have a successful quarterback. You got to have a target that you believe in, that understands you, that you can work with, and that's always great. That was the first thing when I saw both of those plays. That was the first thing that jumped into mind to me. Mm-hmm. It's like he's looking for him because he knows he's going to catch it. You know what I mean? And he knows what he can do, and he knows we can put it where Devontae can catch it. That's the first thing that I thought about.
There's another young receiver that the Eagles have, Quez Watkins, who had a great opening week, big play in 2 straight games. So we were all kind of waiting for him to really take that next step and have that be more consistent. It hasn't been. He had a ball go right through his hands right before the half against the Broncos. That was on Jalen Hurts was dotting the I basically from 40 yards out plus, and he dropped it. On the sideline, look, everyone knows the wide receiver is going to be his own. If he's worth anything, he's going to be his own worst critic. Yeah. What goes on a sideline when a play like that happens, especially when it's a young quarterback to a young receiver?
Like I was just talking about, Mark, as a young quarterback, you don't tend to want to throw that play again to him because he's not going to catch it.
Gotcha.
And then you got to think about it like this. Jalen Hurts is in a situation where he even though it hasn't been said, he's trying to solidify that as his job as the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback. So you have to put the ball in the hands of people that are going to make plays. So when you throw a play like that, the way that you described it was perfect. It was a perfect play. And you drop it, like, I might go back to you, but not in this situation because, hell, we need these points. We need to get on the board. We need to win this game. Now, next week, we'll see what happens. But right now, I have to go to the guys that I know that are going to catch the football. I mean, you hear stories about quarterbacks doing that all the time. Throwing to their number one receiver or their number one guy because they know that guy's going to catch the ball. Now, the way that you probably, get that trust back in the quarterback, hey, man, you better be out there shagging a lot of balls for him after practice and letting him know, hey, man, my bag, I got you. I'm going to get it next time. It's a symbiotic relationship, man. You throw the ball to the receiver, you got to catch it. You got to catch that thing.
It's the old Steve Young quote. I believe it's Steve Young. Who's your favorite wide receiver? The open one.
Yeah.
I believe that's Steve Young.
Basically. And you better catch it.
And you better get the one that's open is going to catch it. Right.
Yeah. You better catch it.
I will say this. I was all over Jonathan Gannon last week, Eagles defensive coordinator, and I am
now that to your point, I was reading stories down here about him and how much everybody hated him. Like, yeah, I was reading stories. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That sums it up. That about sums it up. I gotta say,
it's so much so I gotta give a shout out to my man Joe Batter. They were asking Joe Batter. I saw a video of Joe Batter. They were asking him about Jonathan Gannon. And Joe has some strong words for him. Like, hey, man, he obviously doesn't know his personnel or something to that effect, he said. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was with John Clark, NBC Sports Philly, the Takeoff podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. And he was a great guest on that. And he had a lot of insight. And he was one of the people that actually came out and said, wow, Jonathan Gannon was so heavily recruited by so many different teams. Oh, this is shocking that he's not doing well in Philly. And then he goes out against the Broncos, and I can't believe it. I'm bitching and moaning to you last week about how Jonathan Gannon's not that aggressive. I talked to Quentin Michael about it last week as well. And Quentin Michael was like, yeah, there were a lot of blitzes, but they weren't really blitzes because you were only rushing 4. You got to rush 5, 6. Well, Jonathan Gannon, bless his heart, first and goal from, I believe, the 9-yard line, sends 6.
The hounds. He brought the hounds.
He did. He released the hounds, baby.
Hey. That's you gotta love Philadelphia, man, because Philadelphia will pressure a defensive coordinator into doing what they feel is best. You have the most football savvy people in one congested area in ever. Everybody knows more football than the coach. Why aren't you blitzing more? Why aren't you dialing it up? Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Much better job. Pressure. Hey, man, that pressure in Philadelphia is real. It's real. And nobody is safe from that pressure. Nobody. Yeah.
We are the people that pressure the defensive coordinator to make pressure happen on the football field. We pressure him into giving pressure.
Definitely. Hey, man, you got to love it, though. You got to love it. Hey, he listened, and I'm pretty sure walking around the building and having people, the staff that work there that are diehard Philadelphia Eagles fans, because some of those people were working there when I played. So they're diehard fans and looking at you like, so what up, dog? What's the business? What's going on? Like, what you doing? No, seriously, what you doing?
It's so true. And I will say, to this fan base's credit, they were screaming and yelling at Nick Sirianni to run the damn football earlier in the season. Now they're running the football. They've won 2 of 3, which is nice. They got the Saints coming to town for a 1 o'clock kickoff this coming Sunday. And this seems to be the new identity.
Yeah, and the Saints are beatable.
Very beatable.
But, they're coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, man. They lost to the Falcons, and they lost yesterday. I forgot who they lost to yesterday. But they're coming off of 2 losses. They lost by, I think it was like a point. So,
yes.
They're coming off a loss. What'd you say?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so they're gonna come, and they're trying to get back on their winning ways. I couldn't remember it either. But I remember reading the Sean Payton story talking about how the refs blew it. That was one of the first things he said about who the refs blew. Let me look. Now you got me have to look this up real quick.
Yeah, here we go. Let's do our due diligence.
Yes, because we don't want to give out any bad information.
People are coming to us because we're in the know. That's the deal.
Yeah, baby. And I'll forget in a heartbeat. Yes, they lost to the Titans, Tennessee.
That was the Titans. Damn it.
They lost to the Titans 21, 23-21.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're gonna be coming. They're gonna be ready to play. They're gonna be ready to play, and they're gonna try to punch you in the mouth. So you got to be ready for that one. They're coming off a back-to-back L.
Mm-hmm. Did you happen to see? Last thing for you. Did you happen to see Devontae Smith's celebration to his touchdown?
I did not see his celebration. I saw that suit he had on though. That green suit.
Looking good.
Them kids be dressing nowadays, don't they?
I believe they would say he drips.
He drip. Oh, drip. Okay, yeah, you got that drip. The swag. Yeah, drip.
Don't ever let me say that again. Anyway,
I don't use those words either.
Devontae Smith scores a touchdown, and do you remember the movie Major League 2? You have no marbles.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You talking about was it Sirianni? What was his name?
Serrano.
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 Yeah, Serrano. Now I was about to say Sirianno.
I love that. Yeah. It would be better if it was Sirianno.
Yeah.
So he's running around. It turns out it's from the song by the Ghetto Boys. Let Him Hang Out, I believe is the name of the song.
I know what you're talking about. Gotta let him hang.
So hang out, whatever. So here's my thing. That apparently is now the motto of the Eagles. 3 weeks after Nick Sirianni was all about, we're like flowers, guys. We're like daisies. We're like flowers.
No,
we're like beautiful flowers.
Now you're like bulls. You're like testicles now. You gotta let them hang. Hey, I see these a lot there. Like you had the guys that have trucks and they had the testicles hanging from the back of the truck. You got to do that, man. Hey, listen, sometimes you just got to, you got to let them hang. You got to let them hang.
Hold on. Let's add to this, okay? Let's add to this. Go ahead and tell me one more time. I'm going to give you a real live spit take here. Here you go, right?
No,
go ahead.
You got to let them hang. Sometimes you got to let them hang to the floor.
What was that?
You got to let them hang to the floor.
Good God, man. God damn, I love you. Hugh Douglas III. Oh, real quick on those Atlanta Falcons, because you've seen the Saints. You said the Saints were beatable. How do you beat the Saints? What's the best way to do that aside from the fact Trevor Siemian's their quarterback?
Trevor Siemian is the quarterback. Make him play quarterback. I mean, bottom line, which was kind of strange because they started off running the football and they were running for like 9 to 10 yards a carry, like at the beginning of the game. And Bob shut that down. And when Trevor Siemian started to play quarterback a little bit, that's when they tended to get in a little bit of trouble. Matt Ryan had a hell of a day too. I will say this though, they did start to come back. They mounted a comeback towards the end of the game, but Cordell Patterson and Matt Ryan hooked up for a beautiful pass and were able to put the game away. So yeah, but they're going to be a little salty though. They're going to be loaded for more.
Hey, Eagles got testicles, man. What do you want from me?
They got them big. They let them hang.
You got to let them hang, man.
Let them hang.
His name is Hugh Douglas III, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Eagles legend, Hugh Douglas. Thank you, Hugh, for joining us on a fine HUGHSDAY morning.
Holla.